All right, Chantelle, we start with you, then we go to the brand. But what's your accidental franchise story? How did you fall into franchising?
We all just kind of do that, don't we?
That's right.
We just kind of trip and fall right into it. Well, I was actually a gym owner that was looking to franchise my brand. And I thought, what better way than to get into the corporate side of franchising and just see if that's something that I would be interested in. And it turns out I did not want to franchise my own brand and fell in love with Zerorez and pairing people up with the perfect brand for them. And so I just sort of stayed.
So you took the job with
Hmm.
the mindset of I need to get educated on this. I assume you kept your gym
Yeah.
business going at the time.
Yes.
What was that pivot moment? Just because you saw more opportunity with growing this business?
I did, and I realized I wanted to exit the gym world eventually, and I saw what Zero Res brand can do and how users of Zero Res just fell in love with it. 99% of our franchisees are clients of Zero Res and have used them for 15, 20 years. And so
Interesting.
yeah, it was incredible to watch people who loved the brand for so long and use them themselves to build a successful business out of it.
Did you end up shutting down your other business or do you still operate it?
I actually sold it 3 months ago. So
Wow.
yeah.
Okay, so now that you're in franchising, and this is the question that I think trips up a lot of franchisees going into this. Did you understand the depth of franchising when you took this job?
No, no. I have a big background in sales, so I understand sales and I understand, building relationships, but I did not truly understand the depth of franchising and all that goes into it. And one of the things that I fell in love with about franchising is actually the training department and the marketing team and how they truly take care of the franchisees and how they're actually business coaches, right, of these franchisees and walking them through setting up their business and coaching them to be successful.
So here's what I love about that answer. There's two sides of it because I look at a franchise website and I'm looking for a few things. I want to know what is the why you why now, which that is the first message that I want to hit. And so yours says become the next Zerorez franchise owner, not a why you or a why now. And but what you just said, like as a layer underneath, I'm going to come back to that, is what excites me is the training and the marketing and the onboarding and the systems. And so that like underneath your header needs to say like this is why us, because this is how we stand out, because you just sold to me. And so if a website doesn't mirror how you sell, that's an area of opportunity. And the other thing, and then I want your feedback on it, me included, I go back to the day before I was in franchising, and I would consider myself a sophisticated human being at that point, but I didn't
Sure.
know what it meant. And so to the franchise buyer, when you say buy the franchise, they're like, maybe they felt that form and then they balk, and then you're like, well, they're a cold lead. But the reality is they're not balking. They don't know what it is. And so I
Yeah.
would encourage every franchisor to start with the educational piece of what is franchising now, why franchise with Zerorez. Any comments on that?
Yeah, Nick, I'm glad you brought that up. It's something that we actually worked on when I first came on board is the relationship between the Fran Dev department and the training team. Right. We had to bridge that gap because I was talking to clients and candidates and selling the dream, and then I would pass them along to the training team, and it felt like something was missing there. And so I love that you said, hey, let's add this below, your header is this is how we do it. This is how we walk you through franchising, because a lot of people don't know, they fall in love with the brand. My candidates usually move to a new place that they see there's not a Zero Res, and they're like, hey, why not me?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And, but then they don't truly understand what goes into onboarding and holding their hand through that process. And it's something that I think we all miss as franchisors, is really going into depth on what does onboarding look like? How are we going to help you succeed? You're not just writing us a check for the franchise fee. Wow, that aged me talking about checks. but but
I see the same thing.
Yeah, you're not handing over a franchise fee and we're saying, okay, 3, 2, 1, go. It's actually a lifetime of business coaching involved in relationships.
That's the magic. And that's where like what I enjoy about these conversations is I would play back to the 5-minute mark and take those words. That's the magic of what you're selling. And so oftentimes, like if I talk about our business too, it's not like I'm unique to, I don't have these issues too, but if I talk about the business, say this is how we sell, and I go on the website and it's like, yeah, but it's not telling the same message, then to the ghost out there, which there's going to be a lot of ghosts, they're going to land on the site and not understand what is it that I'm actually buying. And in today's world, and it's not wrong, but this is why the broker community has exploded, because they're like, oh, here, come over here. I'll educate you on franchising. I'll tell you what it is. And then I can tell you what the opportunity is.
Yeah, I can break it down for you, right? They're giving all the information that's not on the website. So we definitely need to get better with the communication on the website, podcasts just like this one, and education around franchising in general, not just falling in love with the brand.
Let's hit on the brand. So super positive in the sense that you said a lot of our franchisees started as a customer. Mm-hmm. The negative on that is you have to be like, if the primary way to get in here is I'm customer first and I'm rotating over, which is the majority of brands, then what's the opportunity to say, well, look at a lifetime of business coaching that happens to be in the carpet business? Like how would you explain what the business is, and what do you want someone that's out there that says, I have money, I'm interested in franchising, what do you want them to know that would encourage them to land in with Zerorez?
Well, first and foremost, we're not pretending that carpet cleaning is the sexiest thing out there, right? We're not cupcakes, we're not cookies, we're not, the next new thing. Carpet cleaning has been around for a very long time. But what sets us apart is our environmentally friendly process of not pumping chemicals and residue into your carpet, right? And people love that. We don't want our babies crawling on carpet that's covered in toxins. We don't want our pets on that carpet as well. And I believe we've all gone through the process of getting our carpets or our tile cleaned, and then it feels like there's a sticky film on that surface. And so our founders were actually real estate investors who were looking for, number one, a more efficient way to clean carpets, a faster drying time, because they needed quick turnaround, right? When someone moved out of a unit. But also, what's going to make our carpets last longer? And they found that pumping, a bunch of water into the padding of the carpet is not keeping that carpet as long as they could in their rental properties. And so they came up with this method of cleaning with ionized water, which attracts the dirt and pulls it from the surfaces. And so that's number one, what sets us apart in the carpet cleaning industry. But what I love about the carpet cleaning industry is that it is home services. And that's something that's just not going away. AI can't come in and take that over, right? And it's not a fad. People want their homes to be clean. They want their homes to last longer. They want their flooring to last longer. It needs to, this is a big investment, and as real estate prices go through the roof, it's more and more expensive to just, let's start over. Let's get a condo somewhere else. Like, that's not happening anymore, right? And so I love the home services industry for that. And that's really another reason that franchisees fall in love. Typically our investors are somebody who is established in their own career, and they're not necessarily looking to make a move, but they want to partner with someone who's going to be on the van and help them run this business successfully. And so, they're looking for a smart place to put their money, but they also want to be in the people industry, right? We've kind of got away with that, in 2020, 2021, we were all, on Zoom and behind our computers. And at the end of the day, people are starting to come out, want to make relationships, shake hands with their clientele, be a part of a team that can be successful.
Okay, a few things. I love your answers because I feel like there's so much magic in it. One is, going back to the franchise site, I think your founder story is super impactful, because the founder story was, the business was built off the founders seeing a gap in the marketplace and finding a solve for the problem. to a franchise buyer, that story ends up being so important because that shows the why this business makes sense. So I would extract what you just said and I would put that on your franchise site. On the consumer front, like when you're talking, like the passionate answer, we don't want our babies or pets climbing on poison carpet. So when you said that, I'm like, okay, I go back to the consumer site. This is more marketing than FranDev, but there's a picture of a guy cleaning carpets. No, there should be a picture of a baby crawling on the floor, and it should say that message. So now the point of differentiation with you in the marketplace, because, and this is very long-winded to say, at one point I made an investment in a carpet cleaning franchise, not as a franchisee, as a franchisor, and I studied it deeply. It was an interesting business. They did fine. But what I found is in a new emerging market, it was like a race to the bottom. Like they were racing to the bottom of who could do it the cheapest. And if someone put something up on an Angie's list, like it was a fight for responsiveness. But what you just said creates a point of differentiation that why do I want Zerorez? And you change your photo of a guy cleaning a carpet to a picture of a baby or a pet on the carpet. Now, all of a sudden, you hit me really on the emotional side that I think would be deeply valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of our marketing out there, with kids and pets, and we circle through that. But it's one thing that sets us apart, and it actually allows us to have a higher price point because we are a luxury service. Right. This is like getting the organic fruit at the store, right? This is doing the better thing, the healthier thing. And then people will pay top dollar for that because they want to protect their family. Yeah. And so it's not a race to the bottom for us.
Let's hit on the investment. What's the cost to open a franchise? What do you disclose in item 19? What are you?
So we love to see, depending on how big of a market they're purchasing, $160,000 to $250,000. We need to see the franchise fee available in cash. That starts at $30,000, and goes up depending on the market. That'll get you a population of 150,000 in your market. And we like people to start there, especially if they're new to the home services industry. And, most importantly, owning a franchise or a business.
And that's one van to start?
Yep. That's one van to start.
And what are you disclosing as an earnings claim in item 19?
Earnings claim. So across the board, our median revenue across the U.S., we're looking at $1.6 million.
Great.
Our contribution margin sitting at $600,000 in our FDD. And so, it depends on your market, and as well as I do, the numbers in the FDD are the only numbers we speak of.
Do you break down percentage commercial business versus residential?
Yes, and that typically sits 70 residential, 30% commercial.
Oh, interesting.
But it's different in different markets. Some of our markets have a higher commercial.
Yeah, I mean, because obviously the way that you framed the founding story is like the gap was like how do we get these carpets clean so they can get the next person in faster and more effective. Right. So it's interesting. I would imagine like property managers end up being a part of that business. So like if I'm breaking it down as a business investor, obviously not pushing to disclose anything outside of item 19, but if I'm looking at that, I'm looking at, all right, if 30% is commercial, that gets me to break even, which means residential ends up being my profit. Like that's how I could engineer a good business out of it. But so when you get a candidate, are they shopping other carpet cleaning franchise, or are they shopping other investments that are in similar range?
Honestly, they're shopping whether or not taking the leap is right for them. The majority of my candidates are already coming, knowing the brand, wanting to be a part of it. They had a really great experience with the technician in their home. They are looking to make a career change, and, they've already fallen in love with the brand. So it's just a matter of, is this right for the time? Now, I do have, 10 to 15% of my candidates that are just looking for an investment. They've got extra money lying around, and they're looking at home services because, that's what social media is telling us where the money is right now. And so they're looking at home services. And so we will beat a carpet cleaning company if we go head to head, but typically home services is just a matter of, do we want it to be carpet cleaning? Do we want it to be janitorial? That sort of thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. How many locations do you have now?
85.
And how many franchise owners?
66.
Well, that's great. So some of them are getting to the point of starting to scale out their territories even more.
Yeah, and we've actually always grown organically until 3 years ago when I came on. So I'm actually the first Fran Dev position at this company because it's, they've just grown organically and by word of mouth and different real estate investors getting involved with Zerorez. And so we're making a big push over the next 5 years to get above that 100 mark.
I love it. Let's get to the vision. You touched on it and getting over to 100, but what's the short-term vision? Like what's winning in 2025?
2025 looks like us growing by 15 new bases. So that's my goal. That's the star I'm shooting for.
And out of those 15, out of curiosity, how many of those would you expect are organic versus organic mean like they're already connected to your business versus you're going to have to go hustle to build up that pipeline?
I expect 12 of them to have brand awareness and around 3 to be fresh, right? That are investors just looking for a franchise.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, as an outsider, I've already touched on this. I think if you play back our conversation, there's a lot of good nuggets to pull out because if you look at your Google Analytics, you have people that are visiting your franchise site not filling out the form. And I'm sure you have some that have filled out the form and you bang your head against the wall because they won't take your call. They're like, you filled out a form. Right. But I think thinking of those 3 things, one would be what is franchising, getting that added into your component. And even if it's a simple drafted email that goes out when they inquire, that doesn't solve the ghost lead, but that still gives them another tool that might encourage them more. The founder story, I think, is incredible. I would get that in there. And for what it's worth, I think your investment to return and what you're disclosing in item 5, 7, and 19 is best in class for the industry, which is proof in that if you've gone from 65-ish franchisees who are starting to add more territory, franchisees scaling is the biggest indicator of growth. So if I could take franchisees are growing, plus look at our numbers, just so that a common investor, because the widget ends up being carpet cleaning, the way that you're cleaning the carpet ends up being higher level. Yeah. But to an investor, like you've built it, like it's a sound investment. So if I'm comparing you, I'm going to go extreme. I'm comparing you to a burger franchise. Like you can see that the margins outproduce for an investment that is basically a third of that of an investment of a burger brand. And so you got to lift up the investment numbers because at that point, now it's like check mark. Clearly, if you're checking us out for do we have operations, training, support, and the business coaching that you talked about, it's all there in the numbers. If the median is this, then look at what we're producing. I think disclosing that or putting that more in the forefront would have tremendous impact to help you get those 3 that you're searching for that might not have brand awareness.
Yeah, I love that feedback, Nick. And I think it's easy as a franchisor, especially with your general counsel, right, to get a little bit shy, right, even if it's in item 19, right, to get a little bit shy about numbers because we're scolded so often about what to share and what not to share. And so, but I do love, I think our focus this year is going to be on sharing more of the numbers, educating on franchising as a whole, but also what we found is people who come in as technicians in the carpet cleaning industry outperform in the first 12 months by over 60%. Like it's astronomical. And so we really want to make touch points with technicians who love connecting with people in their homes and serving people. It's a very satisfying thing to go in and have these dirty carpets and walk away knowing you made somebody's life better that day, right? So there's a lot of passionate technicians out there, and we want to hone in on those techs and show them the opportunity, because at the end of the day, it's not a huge investment right off the top, and it's something that they can manage. Right?
Well, yeah, and you still have the governor of the investment's high enough that a technician has to have hustled a bit or has built relationships with people that can help fund it. And if they have that and they come to the table and I know how to clean carpets and I can be in business for myself and you're going to teach me how to scale and you're going to show me how to change the projections of wealth for my family. Like it's pretty sound. Like this is set up pretty well. And clearly the proof is in the numbers. Like you've grown, forget about the item 19 numbers. You've grown in size, and you wouldn't be able to do that. You wouldn't have franchisees having multiple locations if there wasn't something good there. So good stuff. Chantelle, thanks for sharing some of your story with us. I appreciate it. This is awesome.
Of course. Thank you for the helpful feedback, Nick. I'm excited to make some positive changes.
I love it. For Chantelle, I'm Nick. This is another Franchisor Hot Seat.